lot has been happening, concerning, the Constitution review, budget implementation matter, and even there's been this talk about the aviation industry. All of this will amount to what we'll be looking at. State of the Nation this morning. Joining us to look at that, Yakubu Dati, former Commissioner of Information in Plateau State. Good to have you join us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, a lot has been happening. First, let's look at what we actually used as a poll question before. People calling for the impeachment of the National Assembly, specifically the House of Reps calling for the impeachment of the President, just in case, well, there's not no significant improvement in the budget implementation by September. We're close to getting to September, and what do you think about the move by the lower house?
Well, thank you very much. I think to start with, this issue of impeachment throws up a lot of issues that is worth discussing as a country. In the first place, there has never been a country where budgetary is done 100%. Secondly, you have to look at what constitutes a budget. It's not that the money is there. Part of the budgeting is also forecasting what is being expected to come in and then planning to do the spending. And secondly, also, it comes down to the issue. Most Nigerians are not bothered about budgeting or not budgeting. They want to see these things on the ground. And I believe we have shining lights in the administration, like the Minister of Aviation, the Minister of Agriculture, who is also putting up the issue of cassava bread. These are shining lights that are bringing thinking out of the box. And I believe at this point in time, Nigerians are yearning for an administration that will think out of the box and brings these things on the table. It's not about the procedure. It's about the result at the end of the day. And I believe it is also time for us to begin to look at some of our laws and some of our procedures. Are they working? They're not. Most of them are not. You can have a proper budgetary program you can implement, you can pass the budget. At the end of the day, nothing is done. The money is returned back to the treasury. Is that system working for us? I think it's not. And that is why most people are thinking that, look, let's go back to what will suit us as a country. Let's think out of the box. Let's see things that the ordinary Nigerians will be able to relate to. Things that can change their lives. And that is why we need also leaders. Like you remember the Singaporean leader, he thought out of the box. He moved in direction that was never known. I mean, Singapore had no natural resources. They were, the small country in a corner, but he moved on out of the box to begin to see, look, we have to put things on the table. We have to do something for our country.
When people talk about trying to fix the nation, they've always come up with ideas and they say, well, we don't lack ideas. Yeah. We don't have some innovative solutions to some of all of this, but we always have problems implementing them. Time and again, we've had analysts, fantastic ones like yourself, come on this program and other programs to talk about the way forward. But do you think that we have listened people in position of authority?
Well, I believe that leadership goes beyond people in authority. The led to have a responsibility. They have a role to play. For instance, look at the recent remodeling of 11 airports by the Minister of Aviation. People are going to the airports. They are seeing things being done. There's a difference. Now suddenly there's a group. Controversy. Yeah, there's a group coming up to say this has not been done. And this BASA fund has been there for years. Nothing has been done. You go to the airports, the toilets, you can't even go there. The air conditioners are not working. Now somebody is trying to bring in a change. And there's so much aggression, so much fight. So you begin to wonder. And then it's also in the same system where we're saying implementation is zero.
So that's allow me come in here. Allow me come in here. Now you've talked about this because I think we used almost about 2-3 days to talk about all of these developments in the aviation sector. Do you think a Nigerian will sit somewhere pretty well to the extent that you wouldn't like to see some good changes? Doesn't it occur to you that there might just be some kind of fraudulent, should I say, act somewhere to have made those people or group of persons to have cried out to say, look, there must be something in the aviation sector?
Yeah, you see, it's like a scenario of a man living in a house with a roofing roof, All right. The next day, somebody comes to renovate the house, and the man in the house is fighting. Why do that? It doesn't make sense. Now, we're talking about a sector where so much, in 1990, there was a recapitalization of the aviation industry. That failed. There was concession agreements with different companies. It has failed. There was public-private partnership. We know where the Mavis controversy came in. All that has failed. And now this lady has decided that, look, why doesn't government go directly and get things done instead of using agreements that have failed in the past? Because you end up having what we may call a cabal in the aviation industry, siphoning funds that is meant for the public good. And now they are saying, look, let's go directly and provide this infrastructure. And that is what is being done. And everywhere you go to, the 11 airports, you see these things on the ground. Now you begin to ask yourself, what do Nigerians want? Do they want a budget, implementation, grammar in the National Assembly? Or they want to see a change in their life? You travel out of this country, the first thing that hits you when you land in Nigeria is that, oh, Nigeria, even the airports in Kenya, in Ghana are even better. No, our national airline, the Nigerian Airways, that was once a pride to a people, has been decapitated completely. And it's part of these so-called stakeholders in the aviation industry that has held this industry captive over the decades. And today, that is why Nigerians with conscience are rising up to condemn this act. Because at the end of the day, what do you want? So Nigeria should not move forward?
Let's play around deliverables just a little bit, because you mentioned that, Nigerians are more concerned with what they have at hand, compared to budgets and percentages. Nobody cares about that as far as Nigerians are concerned. Now, let's play around, the current release that we have like 12% growth. We're recording 12% growth, and then compared against the backdrop of unemployment and all of that is happening at the moment. What do you make of that? Because if the government is saying that we have 12% growth, and we have unemployment, and we have this degree of insecurity, what do you make of that?
Well, to start with, I'm not an economist, and I don't believe in all this percentage business. I believe in things on the ground. If there is a growth, let's see it. Now, for instance, if you go to the airports and you say things are changing, you see it. Let's talk about facts. Let's talk about things that we relate to, things we can see.
Now, talking about things we relate with, with a budget estimate of about 4.6 trillion naira, and we have just 1.5 trillion naira budget for the capital component, and that's the capital component is where the masses benefit from the national budget. Yeah. Is it good enough for our economy?
Well, to start with, I like to talk about thinking out of the box. By the time we straitjacket ourselves to budgetary provisions, to percentages put up by economics, you juxtapose that with a situation where we begin to create employment, where you begin to have leading lights. Look at the Minister of Agri, for instance. Look at this fantastic idea of cassava bread. You understand? We need leading lights that would pull us out. It's about the mindset. It's about us mobilizing Nigerians to begin to think that, look, we can do it. And we have to do it in our own individual lives. And I believe that we should encourage lights that are beginning to show that, look, things can be done better. If you are moving around and you don't throw bits or refuse on the road, you are assisting even those who are cleaning.
But
so we have a responsibility.
As a lawyer, don't you think the rule of law must be respected just as the Appropriation Act must be adhered to?
Well, as not a lawyer, if I may correct you, I also believe that the rule of law must be respected. And as a decent and civilized community, we must do things according to laws and procedure we have set. But I'm also saying that within those laws, there are rooms that we can exploit to get things going. We have been operating on this lane for how many years? What has been the change?